Welcome to Touched and Empowered, a show created to empower individuals to value their lives by hosting think tank discussions that will inspire positive action. Touched and Empowered with Katie and Ace starts now.
In some situations, I will offer a quote unquote sample session. It's just what I call it, but pretty much it's a full coaching session. We go through the process, we take care of some trash. And then at the end of it, my ask for this free session, whether you hire me or not, my ask for this free session is that I get a testimonial as to whether or not this worked for you.
Yeah, somebody actually did that for me, but I didn't even know that she was going to ask for the testimonial.
It's very, as a coach, I will say that is very helpful to get that feedback right after a session is done, because for somebody who is new to the craft, for example, I'm calling it a craft, is new to healing as a healing coach, to have that kind of instant feedback as to whether or not something worked or something went wonky is gold to us as coaches.
100%. And then it also gives us a unique lens as to there's coaches everywhere, right?
Right.
Every coach isn't for every client.
True, because there's no right way to do everything.
Yes, but there is a unique lens to each client, right? And there's a unique lens to each coach. When you match that and it's like the perfect fit, it's worth the money.
Absolutely. And it really is that connection of the coach and the client. It's the connection of the service. It's the connection of the right timing, where someone is in their healing journey, where the coach is in their certification or how long they've been doing it. Sometimes that matters. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes it could just be a personality click and it works out beautifully.
Yeah. For whatever reason, politicians,
they just love you.
Yeah. I think it's also because I won't take the shit. Talking much. I found out there's middle schoolers who listen to this.
Okay.
So I'm trying not to curse anymore on this podcast.
Well, phooey.
Pardon my friend. But yes, I've learned this now, and I'm like, oh, and they're avid listeners too. I'm like, I must be careful now. So, I lost my thought, Katie. What was I talking about?
You were talking about how politicians love you because you don't take their shit. And then we went on this whole tangent about no swearing.
Yes, talking mushrooms. Shiitake mushrooms. No. It's real. Essentially, I won't. And not in a way where it's like I'll take it and throw it back at them. That's actually why they trust me. Is because I will acknowledge if something is off.
Right.
And gracefully hold each of us accountable in a way where we're either going to learn from each other and grow.
True.
Right. Or you might be unhappy for a good day or two, but unfortunately, I wouldn't be a good coach if I wasn't telling you the truth. So,
or if you were sugarcoating it or giving false positives or false feedback or anything else like that.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that people really look for in a good coach is someone who is going to be not rude about it, but at least bluntly honest about where someone is in the process and how to move forward. Because we as coaches want you to grow and evolve so much that you don't need us anymore. We want to help you get to the next mentor that's right for whichever path or journey that you're on.
Exactly. And we know you don't have to stay with us for the entire time. That's actually all right, ladies and gentlemen, another thing about honoring your commitments. It is okay that your commitment with one person, let's say you've committed to be with each other for the rest of your life, you have all the change.
Yes.
It is okay to be committed to the happiness of both of you.
And which means that from a coaching standpoint, as a coach, I reserve the right to fire my client. If we have a client who's not meeting the agreement of whatever coaching contract we come up with, I'm not going to continue coaching someone if they're not going to agree to do the work that we talked about them doing.
Yeah, and it was really interesting because I had somebody come in and they did the minimum, right?
The bare minimum?
The bare minimum, but they kept coming back, literally coming back, paying like this fee where they're only getting to, and it's really unfulfilling as a coach to watch somebody just bite off like scraps of what you can really give them because they're only willing to commit to an X amount of payment. Right.
Right. And that
then
payment could be time, talent, or treasure. It really could, that payment could be anything at this point.
Well, for me, it was like, you're going for my third tier beginner packages, right? Okay. I'm sorry, third tier beginner, like the third level up of my beginner packages.
Okay, so 3 steps up. Gotcha.
3 steps up, like less than $1,000. I understand the money, but and it was really interesting because they would come back when they were in panic mode and still go for that set.
Interesting.
Right. And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, do you want to keep going to panic mode? Or do you want to resolve this once and for all? All you have to do is you've already spent the amount.
Right. We've already gone through the whole process. It just hasn't been implemented yet.
No, essentially, like they spent the amount, the bite-sized amount. What if they did the full payment now? Right. And they get it freaking accelerated and resolved where they don't have to deal with the pain as much anymore. Instead of coming into panic mode and start doing the same cycle and cycle and cycle and cycle. By the way, a really good coach will actually create their prices in a way where they're not trying to upsell you for greedy reasons. They will upsell you based off of knowing that you can do more.
Right.
And that you need more in order to excel.
And I think that's one of the things that I prefer as being what I would call a smaller coach, because I don't have a huge organization. I don't have a lot of clients. Why? Because I want to have dedicated time, one-on-one work with each one of my clients. And there's only 24 hours in a freaking day. And I do need to sleep and take a shower.
That's real. And the thing for me is like, for the tier of my clientele, coaches, this has now become a coaching call. Yay, let's talk about honoring commitments and being coaches. Awesome. So the thing about there are different tiers to coaching, right? Your first tier is like your minimum stuff. It's the consulting. It's the stuff that's under like $750 or something like that. And people will come in. It should never be less than $250. And I'm going to say that to everyone who's ever been a coach. And I'm being very firm with you right now.
Yes, because you will not have to value yourself before someone else will see value in what you do and pay for it.
And practically speaking, you will not make your bills.
That's true. That's the extra bonus on top of that.
That's the practical, grounded, respected, understood foundation of that block. You should never go under 250. 1, 2. Your smaller level is purely like, okay, so now you're going to get used to the new way of thinking.
It's the awkward stage.
Yep, this is the awkward stage. You're getting into that cycle. You're getting into that rhythm. Otherwise, if you go to the second tier, you're not going to be able to be ready for it.
Hence, learning to crawl before you start to walk.
Exactly. And then once you get to that premium level, that's when it's like, you can fulfillingly give this person everything you got. That is so much fun for me. But it is very hard to find that clientele. I am not saying, well, it's not that hard, but what I'm saying is like, that type of clientele is like, you've built trust through the smaller programs.
Right.
To get to that higher premium price, or you can get to that premium price and like, you have to understand that if you're not willing, if we don't see that you're willing to do the work for that premium capital,
I'm not going to offer it if you're not willing to do the work.
I'm not going to offer you. I don't care if you're going to throw me $300,000 in my face. If I know you're not going to do the work, I'm not going to waste that energy and waste your money. That doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, it really doesn't. And I know that is a choice that you and I have, that there are other coaches out there who will gladly take the money and just coast through coaching you. And that's not what we're supposed to do.
No, we're here trying to not even trying. We're working on valuing people's lives. If that is the case, then we wouldn't be partnered with the Teen Suicide Prevention Society here. That is like very clear.
True. But I will share one thing though. I do have one client who pays me on a monthly basis to be on call. Now, granted, 9 times out of 10, I can go the entire week without hearing from her. I might hear from her once a month, and normally it's a 15-minute phone call because she just needed to run something by me to help unscramble something that she was stuck on. Are you sure this is what you don't need anything else from? No. I want to make sure that you are there when I text you. And I am willing to pay premium for your time because I know your time is valuable. I'm not going to argue with you, but I will share this with everyone. It is a very reasonable price. I am not charging her an arm and a leg for this.
Yeah. Honestly, if somebody were to do that with me.
But still, you wouldn't charge them an arm and a leg for it. It would be something very reasonable. I don't think you would be charging them over, $5,000 for that process.
Wow, that was perfectly intuitive. 5,000 was bank mark. Like I would not go below 5,000. I was like, if you want me on call, like you want my phone next to me, like, okay. And now, I have to be given a restriction of like, I can get back to you in 5 hours. Like right, that.
Okay. This particular individual, the support that I'm giving them is tech support. This isn't a regular coaching client that I have this deal with. It's literally tech support. We literally get on a call like once or twice a month, and she shows me the problem she's having with her email. And I clear up, help her organize her email and stuff. This is an elderly lady who's like in her 70s plus thing. This is, I mean, so literally I am charging her bare minimum for my time for this because I really know that unfortunately she doesn't have a tech person or anyone else who could teach her because she doesn't have any younger family members. She never got married. Well, I don't know if she's ever been married, but she doesn't have any kids. So she's kind of adopted me as her kid.
Well, oh, that's adorable. All right. So, okay. Wow. Katie, you really gave me an idea here. And I love the fact that you knew the number too. That is great. I was like, I looked at you, I'm like, because the thing is, I love my phone off time. It is really important for me to unplug. Otherwise, I'm not present with everybody, right? Like you kind of just need that moment, right? That time.
Yes. And so when it comes to coaching and healing, where it's taking a lot of our energy, our time, our resources, then yes, we should be paid top dollar for that. In this case, this is, you need help creating a folder to store your emails in. Okay, 15-minute phone call, we're done.
That's adorable and that's understandable versus my clients are like, what's going on with this political candidate? Should I endorse her?
Yeah, now that is a lot more in depth because there's a lot of energy around that, not just your energy, not just the client's energy, but also whatever candidate they're talking
about. That is an example that has happened with 3 or 4 of my clients. And that, by the way, folks, if that is on call for me for a month, that's $5,000 per client. That's because I know that they're probably at like trying to work it out in their head at 2 a.m. in the morning and they're going to call me.
True. And everyone has their own price. And everyone's definition of on call is different. So it really is having that active listening conversation with your client and with your coach as to what the rules of that agreement are going to be.
That emergency call, right? That emergency call, I actually embed that in one of my programs. So like, you get 2
I know which program that is.
Thank you. You get 2 emergency calls with me. 2 emergency ones. Like ones where you're like, things are flying. Help me. What do I do? Where do I go? And this could be at 4 a.m. He's going to be at 3 a.m. Those emergency calls I know are lifesavers. And I know based upon what you're going to be going through as you're transforming and up leveling, and you really do need that support, those are crucial. And I'm happy to be there for those 2 calls.
Yes. Now, if you call and wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning because you can't decide whether to wear red or blue today, that terminates the contract, because that is abusing the agreement that we have.
For those 2 calls.
For those 2 emergency calls, yes.
Now, if somebody were to like, that's another reason why I won't just have any other client. Like, I want to make sure that they were like really valuing this phone call, because if they're calling me at 3 a.m. trying to figure out red or blue based off of what they're going to do for that day, there better be 5 underlying reasons why they're so nervous about the color that I can help them sort through.
Okay, so yes, if it's a surface question, if that's only the surface question, that's it, you don't need help with anything else, then that could be a termination of contract. But if you're calling because that's the first thing that pops out of your mouth because you haven't processed what the real issue is, that's something different.
Exactly. And that's kind of where, yes, I will be at. We're in the moment where I do have that much compassion, even if it's 3 a.m. I have done this. This is why I know I will hold that phone and make sure that you can sleep.
Yes.
To figure out what's going on. Those emergency calls are actually very important. Now, imagine if you have more than 1 or 2 emergencies.
In whatever term of the contract we're talking about here.
I really hope you don't have more than 5, but that's when we go up to the $5,000.
Yeah. And again, it really is the conversation that you have with your coach or with your client, if you are a coach, to let them know what for lack of a better term, the rules of your ballpark, the rules of the contract. This is what I am agreeing to. I am agreeing to be available between this time and this time, this many days a week, for you to call me or text me or whatever, and I will respond to you within this time frame. You really have to get that granular with as we were talking about granular earlier, you really have to get that granular with the agreement, so then that way the other person understands what the rules are and can either decide to accept the rules, they can argue the rules, or they can say, nope, not interested, and walk away.
And a good portion of the time, they shouldn't be arguing with the
if they're going to argue with the rules, then that's when you have the right to fire your client.
Yes,
or your coach.
Right, and they can challenge those rules.
Yeah, challenge is different than flat out arguing, I think.
Yeah, arguing is like what the like, which is a little like, don't get me wrong, if you're actually talking about like arguing in the sense of legal matters, then yeah, there's a different type of jargon to that. But when it comes to somebody's boundaries, challenging someone's boundaries is very different than disrespecting their boundaries. You can ask why someone has a boundary, and then you can find an understanding as to why somebody has a boundary.
True. And so it really does fall back into the whole having the conversation with the person and listening and having an understanding and compassionate ear to what they are saying, because this obviously is important to them if they're having this conversation with you.
100%. And right now I have a client who hasn't given me the $5,000.
Okay.
Because I didn't think $5,000 was the appropriate price. Nor did I know that she'd be texting that much, but she did need me, right? So when you get into those gray areas, that's when you kind of have to sit back, take a pulse.
True. And I will admit that there was one client that I had that instead of just having this single sample session, they ended up getting 3 before I realized that I needed to nip it in the bud. Otherwise, this was going to continue to be a free client. And that wasn't honoring me. And they had yet to complete the tasks that I had given them. And I didn't think they were going to complete it either. So then that way it was okay, this is our last phone call. When A, B, and C are done, what you said you agreed upon, we can talk about then you possibly becoming a client.
Exactly. And I think thankfully the people that I work with, they can sense when like the free stuff is up.
Yes. Most people do. Well, I can't say most, but some people can tell just based on the energy of the conversations as to when their welcome has been worn out.
I don't want to say the welcome has been worn out, but it's more of like, okay, so now that you know that it works, would you be interested in investing in having a stable agreement to continue the support, this type of service?
True. And if that doesn't work, as coaches, we have the capability to be flexible because I do have one client. She is my what I call pay as you go. She calls me when she's ready for a session. She pays me the full amount for that session, then she gets on my calendar.
That's excellent.
It might go months before I hear from her again. She's perfectly fine with that. She knows that she has to call me. I send her a link, and it's not until she pays me she gets the link to go on the calendar, and then she books her call. And she's perfectly okay with that because we came to those agreements. We came to that rule.
Yeah, exactly. And then like depending on your clientele, I love how we're going into the coaching aspect now. When it comes to your clientele, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes that doesn't work for the needs of your clientele, and it won't be a match, and that's fine. Like for instance, people that I work with, I actually really love high achievers. I love working with high achievers and people that are like freaking out, and they, let's say they're in this political space where they have, all right, I'll give you a scenario. I'm not going to name names.
Okay.
Somebody is starting a company.
Are we back to Mount Rushmore and Niagara Falls?
Something like that. We're gonna call this one the Redwoods.
Okay.
So the Redwoods is being approached by all of these venture capitalists because his idea is brilliant and his idea has a wait list.
Oh, nice. We love brilliant ideas with wait list.
So he's about to explode.
Yeah, that's gonna take off if it's got a wait list. An active wait list. We'll say active wait list, yes.
It is a very active wait list. 1. 2, guess what else happens with active wait list on 2?
You get sharks.
Everywhere. You have all the advisors that see the promise and what you're doing. They know you're about to make bank. They will do everything, anything, and honestly, everything to, one, make sure your business succeeds, but do they care about the person? Now, that's the other issue. You never want to be stuck in the vulnerable position where you feel like you have all these sharks around you, right? And they're eating all the food that is being dropped down around you, right? Do you think they're going to come for you if the food runs out? Yes.
And in this case, I'm assuming that whatever this project is that Redwood is working on, it's their baby.
It's their child. It's their baby.
This is someone they've invested time, talent, treasure. They put their life into this.
Heart and soul. And the thing is, you need somebody who will understand the integrity of your baby.
Right.
They're going to take care of your child. They're going to take care of you, like, because they know you need to take care of your child.
Yeah. So we're looking for somebody who can, quote unquote, adopt and nurture you through the process. So then that way you can nurture your baby.
And my biggest fulfillment and joy, because this is where I was like forged from, is that political pressure cooker. I actually really enjoy supporting people through navigating those really fascinating terrains, those different personalities, and kind of understanding where each person is coming from, regardless of their emotions, the negative nature, the positive nature, just the reality of their nature. That is so much fun for me. Can you tell by how excited I'm getting about hearing this? This is where I'm like, okay. And if it's a good person, I love being able to be there for that.
I think we all have our favorite type of clients, our favorite type of coaches, that fit within those molds or those types of demographics, because when we get those, it lights us up because we know not only are we able to help them nurture, grow, expand, remove trash, whatever, it heals their soul and it heals ours.
Exactly. And to be very fair and understanding what I can do and how to honor my commitment with those types of clients, I only take on 2 of those a year.
Which makes perfect sense.
Only 2. They do pay top dollar, but
yeah. And like, for example, my one friend who is quote unquote grandma who pays me for tech support, she is my only tech support client who has me on call. And she will probably forever be the only tech support client that I have on call, because 1, that's not where I want to play. But 2, that does take a lot of time, talent, and treasure for me if I have to be pulled away from something else to take care of it. Now, she knows that I have a lot of stuff on my plate. So she knows if I don't respond right away, it's okay. And again, the rules of the game that we agreed upon.
Agreed. And that's understandable. So like, ladies and gentlemen, I just like wanted to share that with you just so you know. Those are the types of tiers that you kind of go with. And it's interesting because as a business owner and somebody who is a coach, you kind of have to understand that you have to create not necessarily a funnel that's like a manipulative type of funnel that everyone's like, all right, click here, then click here, then click here. And by the time you're done, you've accidentally spent 12 grand. That is not what I meant.
No, that is not what we offer. There's no nickel and diming people to give us tons of money.
That's not it. But what it is you're building trust with people. So as you're building trust with people based upon the price, smaller tier, great. You've built enough trust to understand that what you're doing is working, and what you're doing is not just working, it is epically helping, right?
Right.
Then you get to the next level because you honestly believe that you can take on more and you can trust the person more at this level of capacity and believe that the results are going to happen. Then when you hit that level, then you go up to the premium tier because they've already helped you make that much money for you to get to the premium tier.
Right. I do believe that with any coach or any mentor, you grow with them.
Yeah.
And if you get to a point to where what you paid for you do not reach, my recommendation is don't invest any more money because they might not be the right coach for you.
Yeah, and I had to learn that because the person that was doing the mini tier, I put 5 in there. If anybody needs to hear the number 5, there's your sign.
Yeah, because that number's come up a lot today.
555, woohoo, changed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for funsies, if you're ever into numerology, we have a really good friend. Her name is Tiara. She does it. 1, she's great. 2, 5555. Anything with 5s, get ready for the roller coaster because your life is going to change today. And for the next time, you keep seeing 555. It is insanity, but it is awesome because it's actually manifesting for the better. That's usually what 5555 means.
Awesome.
Mini tangent. I was saying, what was I saying, Katie?
Oh my gosh, where were we? We were talking about funnels and how we're not talking about the crappy funnels that charge us every $5 everything. We weren't nickeling and diming people.
Yeah, we're not doing that. That's like,
right. We got to the point as to where if you do not reach the goal that you are with your coach, do not invest any more money with that coach. And you had said that you had been through that process.
I have. And there was this one person, she was trying to get a new job. I gave her advice. She didn't take the advice. She kept paying the 5 number. Goodness gracious. She kept paying that number. And I'm like, I see what it is and I see what you need more of.
And you know what? That sounds like that is a heart-to-heart conversation with a client or with your coach. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't work out, then that's okay. And the next coach or the next client will come.
That, and you also can't like settle too, right? I remember telling this person, like, I could keep giving you the same thing and you're going to stay stuck in that same cycle. Right. And I remember just she was like, but here's the problem with money. And but I'm like, I understand. And the time isn't right yet because you're going to get stuck in this same cycle. So why not wait until you can pay me the actual accelerator? These are my second tier prices. You can actually pay me the accelerator prices, because then you will actually see a big difference. But the problem is, I don't know if she's willing to commit to that. If you're willing to commit to going up that level, you know what ends up happening?
You actually achieve what you're looking for.
Exactly. And every bit of advice that I'm sharing with that person, they take and run with it. They don't leave any of it behind. The moment I see somebody leave a little bit of stuff behind, I'm kind of like, are you going to take accountability for the fact that you didn't do it and realize it's not my fault?
Yeah.
When I told you to do it twice.
That's the whole part with, honoring your word. You say you're going to do it.
I went to the chiropractor.
Yes, you did.
0 pain, by the way.
Which is fantastic.
See, I said I would do it. I honored my commitment. I did it. I did 3 incredibly painful appointments. They were insanely painful. I remember taking 500 milligram painkillers because it was so bad. By the 4th appointment within these 2 weeks,
right?
I'm great. I can sit here. I can smile. I'm actually sitting on a chair. My hips don't feel like they're dying. And I look relaxed.
Yes, you do look very relaxed.
Bruce is just like, hi, everyone.
We're just, and all things come around for a reason or a season.
I haven't seen 555 since my back crack.
Well, you know what? Then it's a good thing that number just keeps popping up in this episode, because it's not only going to impact you, it's going to impact me, it's going to impact everyone else who listens to this episode.
Exactly. Remember when I got that you were like, motorcycle, huh? I'm like, so my smile, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to the podcast, I just gave a smirk.
And that was a very big smirk.
Yes. Yes. Will I get one? Probably not anytime soon. But go ahead, Katie. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that unfortunately we have to wrap up this episode, but we have covered up so much information, and it may seem like a fire hose at some point, but that's okay. The beauty of this is it's recorded, so you can go back and listen to it and catch what you missed, or just send us a message and we'll answer your questions.
Yay! Thank you, everyone. Have a great, wonderful rest of your week.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks for supporting, pal.
Thank you for joining us. We hope that the discussion today will inspire you to take positive action in your life. Until next week, be empowered.